All right, how's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to a brand new video. Today, ladies and gents, we've got ourselves some Pokemon rumors, so sit back, relax, grab yourself a beverage, and let's get started. The first thing we're going to be talking about today is going to be this post on 4chan, which is specifically a rumor, and we have the screenshot of it right here so you guys can see it. If you guys want to pause the video, you guys can read it yourself. I don't know if I've covered this one or not, because there's been quite a few of these in recent times, so it's been kind of hard to keep track of which one's which, but let's take a look at what this one has to say, because there is a plethora of stuff in here, and I think it's pretty intriguing to say the least. But here's basically what this rumor says. Pokemon Legends 2025 starters, megas, and new forms. This was posted on the 4th of March. This is almost 6 days ago. I don't remember actually covering this one. Like, at no point do I remember actually talking about this one in particular. So, bear with me as I'm saying that. But basically, this one, again, it's a 4chan rumor. So please, for all that is holy, just remember that there is always a chance that it is not real, right? There's always a chance that it is BS, not real, not actually fake, and all that kind of stuff. Like, just keep that in mind. There's always a chance for that, right? Just please remember that. Always a possibility, always a chance, always a, situation where you can't always trust everything 100%. There's always a chance it could be fake in some way, shape, and or form. So just please remember that. But here's what it says, though. Starters, all three of these to be hinted via the upcoming TCG sets, apparently. So apparently in the TCG sets, these will be hinted. He also includes a picture of Gentleman Winnie the Pooh. And apparently Totodile, Litten, and Snivy. Apparently those are the ones that he's mentioning. Now, I think there has been this weird thing that people think might be a hint from the actual Indigo Disc. Like, there's this image, or this during the trailer for the Indigo Disc, there's this part where they show off the starter Pokemon, and they show off specifically the Pokemon that are starters in the Legends Arceus matched up with one respective Pokemon of the same type in the trailer. And I think those three are going to be the actual starters. So I don't know if this matches up with those. I think the only one here that matches might be Snivy. The other two, I think, was actually Torchic, and I don't remember what the last one could have been. Piplup. I could be wrong, but doesn't match with that one. So, but again, that's just a theory for people. That's not an actual confirmed thing, though. So just keep that in mind. There's no confirmation on that. Just so you know, like, again, no confirmation on that. But nonetheless, though, the next thing is new Mega Evolutions. And this is a long list of stuff that they mention here. Venusaur, Blastoise, Arbok, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22. So he's saying 22 new Megas, apparently, because all of these are actually would be new, right? Venusaur would be a new one, Blastoise would be new, Arbok would be new, Starmie would be new, Dragonite would be new, Lantern, Xatu, Slowking, Breloom, Flygon, Melodic, Electivire, Togekiss, Pyroar, Florges, Gogoat, Aegislash, Trevenant, Xerneas, and Yveltal. Apparently, all of those will be getting brand new Mega Evolutions. That's like, what, 22 different forms? That is actually, I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty freaking solid, man. That would be a pretty solid list, to say the least. Like, it actually wouldn't be that crazy to assume that this could be legitimately how many Pokemon end up getting new forms of Megas. However, he also says there are going to be new actual forms of Pokemon, which are interesting. He says, new forms, and apparently, the first one is Volcanion. Now, you guys know Volcanion. It's a Pokemon that people don't really care that much about. Let's be real. Volcanion doesn't have, like, the biggest fan base in the world, but apparently it's going to look more robotic, like Arsenal from Eden Zero, lol. Now, let's see. Arsenal, Eden Zero. Let's see what we can find when you're talking about this, because I don't know what that actually means. But it's like a human character-looking guy, and I don't know if that's supposed to be a meme or what's it supposed to mean, but I can't really see the connection here whatsoever, or how that even makes sense. However, he moves on, though, and says, Oricorio, a ballet water type, apparently. Ribombee is going to get a new form, apparently. Doesn't actually include what it's supposed to look like whatsoever, but it's Ribombee, so who frankly cares? Maybe I'm being a little bit mean again, Ribombee fans, but either way. Comfy, which resembles Jewelry, eyes closed in the initial draft. Okay, initial drafts, I guess he's talking about a potential drawing of stuff, because he doesn't actually say how he got this information. All he says is that the starters will be hinted from the TCG, but nothing about how he got this info. He says, though, that Comfy will resemble Jewelry, then apparently Magearna. Now, Magearna is a Pokemon that frankly, for the longest time, has needed to get, like, some sort of, info dumps on it. Like, that's just generally something that should happen with this Pokemon, but hasn't happened. So it seems like it's around about the right time to actually finally give it some love again. Hatterini, Victorian style. So again, Victorian, they're referring to a specific, like, time period in, like, real life history, like an actual time period in, like, actual history, the Victorian era, right? That's kind of what they're talking about here. But then they continue on here saying that Grimmsnarl apparently is going to be getting one, and I'm noticing a lot of so far, reading this, I'm noticing that, like, you know, we got, like, again, Hatterene, Grimmsnarl, like, those are both Gen 8 Pokemon, right? Like, Galar Pokemon. Now, Grimmsnarl apparently resembles a gargoyle. I could see that making sense. Actually, a form of Grimmsnarl wouldn't be that crazy. I actually think that'd be pretty solid. Apparently, though, the next one would be Fido, which is going to get a new evolution, plus a new Evo, resembles a croissant. Okay, that actually would be pretty cool. Then he also says Revavroom resembles a horse pull carriage pulled by Go-Goat. Okay, that's a bit weird. And then Duraludon gets a new evolution, resembles Lumio's Tower. I guess maybe to mimic how we had, because he says Duraludon, so maybe like it's going to be like a kind of similar to what we had in Arcaludon, right? Like, so it's like that was a bridge similar to the one we have, in Unova, and maybe he's talking about another one. But yeah, more to come when we know more info after the next investors meeting. So again, the investors meetings, what he's talking about here, they are things that happen, and they did kind of reveal Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee during an investors meeting. So highly possible they could do something like that for another gameplay reveal, because again, we don't know when the next piece of information is going to drop on this. And the fact that this game's coming out next year with no release date, no gameplay, nothing, they need to give info at some point in the next, 4 to 5 months. Otherwise, that interest, which I can show you guys, by the way, the actual interest for Pokemon, if you actually look up the trends on Google for Pokemon Legends ZA, it's actually fallen off drastically. It's been a nosedive in terms of actual searches for this specific game. So if you just look up Legends ZA, it's drastically fallen. Again, I measure this based on how many people search it on YouTube, how many people search it on just Google itself over the past 30 days. But of course, it hasn't even been known for over 30 days. But if you look at it here for the last 30 days, and we look at just the overall searches, you guys can see right here. If I move my face cam away, you guys can see the top searches were on that day of reveal, and then it continued for a few days. But now it's plummeted, and this is just web searches. If you look for YouTube, for example, a lot less people are looking for this game, and that's because again we don't actually have any gameplay. And I think that's the biggest issue, is that they don't have any gameplay. And if they want to keep people's interest, they will have to show gameplay at some point. If they want to get people excited and wish listing the game and pre-ordering the game and all that kind of stuff, they need to make sure that they're actually giving people a reason to be excited. Otherwise, if they ain't got nothing, but again, it's Pokemon, so the hype is going to be there no matter what they do. They can still just drop nothing and people will still buy into it and get their hands on it. That's just an undeniable fact of things, right? It's just how it is, It can happen no matter what. No matter what way you twist it, it could happen. But I want to move on to the next thing, which is going to be this post right here by Amashino. Now, Amashino is a theorizer on Twitter who just makes theories about different things in Pokemon. And well, he had himself a nice little theory here that he wanted to share, so I thought we'd take a look at it and see what it's all about, because, you know what, maybe it holds some value, right? So, this theory starts off with Z theories. Now, the 5 plazas named are actually after colors and could be the locations of the 5 Z cores. The tower, the Centrico Plaza, could be where we have the final event involving Z, Zygarde 100%, and it's going to take place. So he thinks maybe we're going to see something like this, where it's going to be split up between them, and we're going to find the different cores spread out through these 5 locations around the map. That's what his theory is, at least. But he also has a little bit of a continuation of this post, where he said, theories, the Z core as a companion can also act as a ride Pokemon, progressively growing like Koraidon and Miraidon. So he's trying to say that Zygarde basically could work, similar to how Miraidon and Koraidon work as our ride Pokemon. What if we actually use Zygarde as our companion, right? Our Pokemon that we use as a little flying device and a riding device and a bike, more or less, and a climbing Pokemon. But he says, for example, the Z core, the basic one, has nothing to it. The Z 10% could be basic travel, Z 50 could be special terrain, obstacles, and underground, and Z 100 could be flight. And honestly, that sounds pretty epic. I'm not even going to lie. That would be so cool. Also, shout out to Evie Carla here for the actual fan art that's on the screen. But this genuinely sounds like a really sick ID. I don't know about you guys, but I frankly think that would be actually awesome. Genuinely, I think that would be such a cool thing. And he also had another theory here, which was, in Pokemon Legends Arceus, the Alpha Pokemon was our companion through the Arc Phone. So he says Alpha Pokemon. He's talking about Arceus itself. In Legends ZA, Zygarde will be our companion through one of its cores. That could possibly be the case, right? That could definitely be the possibility here, that we're going to, see something like that along those lines. But again, it is just a theory. It's just a rumor. There's not really much we can say about it right now. It's just a theory of his. I think it's a cool idea, though. I think it's definitely one of the coolest ones I've seen, actually. One of the coolest ideas and theories and just in general things that I've seen from people. And again, I would love to know what you guys think about it. Just in general, let me know in the comment section down below, because again, there's a plethora of things to talk about, and there is, for example, stuff about the Nintendo Switch, for example. There's a lot of rumors about Nintendo Switch 2. which have been cropping up. I think My Nintendo News actually tweeted out some of this stuff, so we can just go over here and check it out. But My Nintendo News has been tweeting a lot of stuff. For example, one of the things that just got announced is a new Super Mario Bros. Movie, right? So that got announced. But the way it was announced, though, wasn't through a massive direct or anything. It just kind of dropped. They kind of just dropped the info, which is a bit weird. They just kind of, shut it out there. Like, just shut it out and let it just kind of go into the void, which has left a lot of people wondering, what's going on? Like, what's the deal? Why are they so, very nonchalant about it? Like, why is it such a... why are they not taking it seriously? Right? What's happening here? And that's kind of where we're at right now. We're, they're really wondering what's going on. But if you take a look at the actual, I think, website here of My Nintendo News, I think they have an article about the Nintendo Switch. Because, of course, we have the Nintendo Switch. Mario game's going to be joining Nintendo Switch Online this month. That's one thing. But in regards to the actual Nintendo Switch itself, there hasn't really been a lot of news about the Switch 2 besides a delay of the actual upcoming console. Right? That's the only thing that we've actually seen in regards to, information and stuff. But yeah, again, I digress. I do wonder, though, what the Switch 2 delay could imply for Pokemon. Again, they never said at any point that it's going to be coming for Switch 2, but a lot of people are theorizing that that's going to be the case, that that's actually what's happening, but we'll have to wait and see. Another theory, though, from none else than, of course, Amashino, was that Pokemon Z theories, the A in the Legends ZA seems to be made of a plant, right? We can kind of see that from the actual cores on the bottom here of it. It is like a plant device or looking thing, right? He says the Z core charges up energy using sunlight, by the way. This reminds me of plant cells, especially if you keep in mind hexagons. Zygarde probably gets a new form or is used to supply power to a giant device, which again could be the ultimate weapon, right? So a plant cell very much looks like this, right? The actual cell, like the actual proper plant cell, would look like that, which is an interesting shape as it matches with, of course, Zygarde, first of all, in color, but also the fact that Zygarde does have a bunch of, hexagons all around it. Like, that's kind of its whole, shtick, you know what I mean? Its design gimmick is kind of the hexagons, which are almost always present. And that's kind of what we see right here again. Like, this is nonstop a present thing throughout. Like, we keep seeing it over and over and over again. And it's not that crazy of a thing, to say the least. But yeah, I don't know. I'd love to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Also, moving on to the next thing, though, we have this post here from Soul Silver Art, and this is an interesting post. It's basically a hilarious and ironic that, Legends ZA trailer begins by saying top secret and confidential. So he's talking about here, basically what he's talking about here is the fact that this trailer, right, it basically started off by telling us that it's all confidential, which is interesting because if you think about it, this is one of the first Pokemon games we've had since, I want to say, Ultra Sun and Moon, or maybe even Sun and Moon, that hasn't straight up leaked. Like, this is the first thing we've had since then that hasn't been a straight up leak. Like, usually everything else kind of just leaks over time, and it just pops out and we see it all the time. But this time around, it's not the case. It's a bit different, right? It's actually a bit different. This has been very much under wraps. This is a game that hasn't been shown to us early on, and we've been having everything hidden about it. Not even leakers knew exactly what was going to be happening, though they do know some other information, but in regards to this game, they knew nothing, right? We had zero information. But what he says here basically is, it's hilarious and ironic that Pokemon Legends ZA's trailer basically begins by saying top secret and confidential, because this project, right, this Legends ZA project, PLZA, was definitely a huge secret that they kept from getting out. No one knew about it happening, and it definitely could have had to upload Game Freak for that. Of course, I hope they let some things leak in the future, though, because I loved little leaks here and there. Though, looking at the other way, I think that this redevelopment project being top secret has a lot to say about the plot of PLZA, which I'll go into in a separate post. Again, it is an interesting thing, and I have a bit of my own theory here, okay? I wonder, maybe the reason the plot is secret is because, again, why would it be secret in general, right? If the government is planning something like a redevelopment of a city, normally that's not really a crazy thing, and it's kind of known to the public. Once, the ID is kind of drafted up, the public kind of knows about it. Hey, we're going to redevelop the city. Unless the organization that is doing this without permission, and is doing this under the radar. That's why it's considered top secret. That's why it's considered, a generally thing that should not be known and confidential, right? Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what they're trying to say here. Again, there's no guarantees for that, but that's at least a feeling that it's giving to me. It's just a vibe it sends me on. That's the feeling it gives me. Again, I could be wrong here, but that's at least the vibe I'm getting from it, at least right now, just from reading, just generally the trailer and all that. Moving on, though. the really cool little theories. This is about the starters and why Piplup could be an actual starter Pokemon. So this is from Fernie, KCP Smithy, who says, here's going to be a thread on why Empoleon will be a water ice type and based on Jules Dumont d'Urville, who discovered the West Antarctic and named it Adélie Land. I found some good research on this. So basically, he thinks that we're going to get I guess a Piplup that's going to get a starter Pokemon in Pokémon Legends ZA, and it's going to be based off of this fella right here. Now, apparently, in 1840, the French Admiral Jules Dumont basically was the first one to step foot on the West Antarctic, where he claimed Adélie Land for France. After a break from 1843 to 1872, exploration resumed, Antarctica's coast was recognized, and its interior started to be explored. And again, here you guys can see the actual man. He's on the old francs, the actual currency in France. You guys can see right there, he was on it. With 100 franc, and of course the penguins on the back too. So interesting, again, the penguin connection. He says that the first thing is that Jules Dumont found West Antarctic while doing his expedition in South and Western Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, and Antarctica. On January 20th, 1840, he found West Antarctica and he named it Adélie Land after his wife Adèle Dumont. So yeah, we just named it after her. Moving on. King Louis Philippe had ordered that the expedition must aim for the South Magnetic Pole to claim it for France. Dumont d'Urville hoped to sail beyond the 74th and 15th, I guess, latitudes, longitudes, whatever one, and reached by James Waddell in 1823. King Louis Philippe wanted to claim Antarctica for France. 2 weeks after seeing their first iceberg, Astrolabe and Zélé found ships themselves entangled again in a mass of ice on the 1st of January, 1838. The same night, the pack ice prevented the ships from continuing to the south. In the next 2 months, they kept trying to find a passage. When he landed there, he saw no human life, only Adélie penguins that he named after his wife Adèle, and they claimed that part of Antarctica. France owns a part of Antarctica, aka Adélie Land. It's a French-owned territory with its own flag there, even station called Dumont Station, and was founded in 1856 all the way until present. You guys can see this is literally the whole section, right? Like this little section right here, the little cutout of the pizza, right? Is basically the part that's been cut out and kind of handed, or the French basically kind of claimed that part. Because again, the Antarctic, I think, is not claimed fully by any country. Like nobody can actually, like everybody can have research stations there, but nobody actually claims it 100% as like a part of their country. It's just kind of like a international kind of area. You know what I mean? It's kind of how it serves. Nonetheless, though, he continues on and says that making Empoleon water ice type because Jules Dumont found West Antarctic, called it Adélie Land in 1840s, where Adélie penguins are from, and it was before the redevelopment of France that started in 1853. Also, he was in his own franc coin with the Emperor penguins. The first and ironclad is the first and ironclad is a steam-propelled warship protected by iron or steel armor plates and constructed from 1859 to the early 1890s. So Empoleon not being a steel type because steel ships weren't invented in France until 1859 during the redevelopment of Paris. So he's trying to argue here, and I think it's a really cool point for this theory, that because, like, you know, regular Empoleon water steel, because the invention of steel ships didn't exist yet at this point, you could use that as an argument as to why this Empoleon that we might get could be a water ice type, because the steelworks had not been used yet. And that would actually make total sense. It would be such a cool way to do it. He says, finally, here's my design for a regional form of Empoleon. Just make it look like an Adélie penguin. And Jules Dumont d'Urville, the Admiral Explorer, turned all of the blue steel parts of Empoleon to ice type. You can even make the beak look like the Adélie penguin. And Jules Dumont d'Urville I guess what he wears, right? Like his actual outfit. Which, again, is a cool theory. So that's what, for just like one of the starters, the water one. He also has one here for our friend Cinderace. He says, here is a thread why Cinderace will be a fireground based on the first French soccer club who came and built the Eiffel Tower and won their first championship. So, this talks about the British origins of France's oldest football club, still playing today. Now, plumbers and woodworkers who came to build the Eiffel Tower went on to win the first French football championship. Moving on, though, he says the first soccer team or football team that came around and actually were the ones to build the first soccer club, also the same people that built the Eiffel Tower, and they won their first soccer, tournament. So here it is, British origin of France's oldest football club still playing today. Plumbers and woodworkers who came to build the Eiffel Tower went on to win the first French football championship. Apparently, long before Paris Saint-Germain, like PSG, came to dominate French football, a British club reigned in the capital. That club is still alive today, Standard Athletic Club, or SAC, founded in 1890 by a group of Britons who had come to Paris to work on the preparations for the Exposition Universelle of 1889, claims to be the oldest French football club in continuous existence. They came to work on the building the Eiffel Tower, all of that stuff, explains club president Rich Parkin, 57, who's also a management consultant. I've heard the word engineers, but I suspect they were mainly plumbers and woodworkers and things like that. So basically he says, during the 1800s, lots of people immigrated to France. That was the case in 1816. After more than 2 decades of war with France, over the next 50 years, hundreds of British tool and lace makers immigrated to Calais and the other, I guess, production areas in northern France. In the 1800s, the poor commoners were very poor, which could go with Cinderace being a fire ground type. Commoners got dirty, working every day to stay afloat and provide for the family, and other Parisians either did not bathe at all, which, yeah, I guess actually a real thing, by the way. Old Europeans used to be kind of dirty. But yeah. He said, basically, it is said that the people went to build the Eiffel Tower, worked hard, and conditions were, I guess, bad, and they were paid horribly. And basically, they're trying to guess here that maybe because Georges Eugene's Haussmanns started the redevelopment in Paris, and a lot of citizens were forced from their homes, but the wealthy were quickly accommodated, and it was said that the poor people envied the rich people and tried to kill them many times, so making Cinderace a commoner would make sense, I guess, in this case. There's also a type of rabbit that lives in France, the French lop rabbit. We haven't had a rabbit Pokemon with this pattern, which can easily be turned into a, I guess, a mug and make Cinderace fire ground, which would be cool. And here's his design again for Cinderace, based on a commoner peasant in France during the redevelopment of Paris, and the first soccer club, football club in France that built the Eiffel Tower on the first, and has also won the first football championship there, which is now just controlled by PSG, which makes nobody happy. But yeah, either way, so that's pretty much where that one ends. And again, this is another theory, again, theory, very much theory. Just keep in mind that word. It is a theory, guys. And we're going to leave that one there. Next up, though, and this is something I'm going to make a whole separate video on, so this is something I'm telling you right now. I'm announcing it right now. I've got a whole video in the works for this, but I want to make a whole video talking about all the different kind of ancestors we can expect to see. And one of the ones that I saw, which really got me interested, was from Rhyme with Ray, who created a Professor, I guess, Sycamore ancestor called Professor Pinshot. And this is kind of drawn in that style, like that kind of Victorian-esque era type of style of, you know, clothing, and would be a female character. And I think something like this kind of style for the game, I think it would be perfect. I think this is exactly the direction they should go in terms of how to design this, how to make it all look, and what they should do with it. This is not the only design by Rhyme with Ray. They actually made this one here as well for a kind of female version of none else than Lysander, having an ancestor called Leonite, which also now makes me, by the way, wonder, you guys remember from the Indigo Disc, there is this whole reference and this Easter egg to Simba and, like, the Lion King, where, like, you can see, like, one of the Pyros standing on top of the hill. I wonder also if that Pyro was supposed to be some kind of weird, distant hint towards specifically Legends ZA. Seems very far-fetched, I know, but that's kind of the whole point of these videos. I'm supposed to talk about stuff that seems a little bit out of the realm of possibility. But nonetheless, though, I think this is a cool concept, and I want to talk more about these, and I want to make a whole separate video talking about how I think that this could actually work. Like, how this could genuinely be a way they could make, you know, the ancestor look like. The style of the actual game could be in this direction. I don't see it being an impossibility necessarily. I think it's highly possible, and that's pretty much what I feel about that, guys. So, what have we really talked about today, guys? We had the rumors to talk about. We had some of the stuff from, of course, 4chan. We had some of the stuff about Nintendo. Like I mentioned, there's a bunch of stuff lately, and if we scroll down all the way down here to this period right here, this is actually a post that was made from a leaker called Nikkei, who basically said that March 2025 will be the Switch 2's launch date. Launch info is true. So apparently this is what it says. You may recall yesterday that Nikkei, and this is an old post, right, saying that Nikkei was reporting that Nintendo was planning on launching their Switch successor in March of 2025, while the company delaying the release for this year to next year was already reported on previously. The launch date itself was new information. Well, prominent leaker, this is a very long name, MBKKSSTBHZ5, has responded to the Nikkei report, saying that it is correct information that was sudden, apparently was a sudden to publishers publishers in a unique situation. As for the March 2025 release, they call it a firm date. Okay, so apparently it's a very consistent date, and can see their tweets about the matter down below. So apparently, here's what's happening. This person, this leaker, was apparently a legitimate leaker, confirmed and said it is correct info. It is information that was sudden to the publishers, and it is a unique situation. I do not have information on hardware announcement plans, Nintendo titles, or hardware information. March 2025 is a firm date. It is the release timing we are aware of from last week. So apparently that's what they've heard from their insiders. That's the information that they've received. And it makes me wonder, again, like with these leakers and stuff, there's always a chance this stuff could be incorrect. But keep in mind, take all of this stuff with a mountain of salt. Again, this is like from Nikkei here, the report saying Nintendo Switch successor to be released in March 2025. And then, of course, this leaker came out and said that this is actually the case. Of course, this person, I don't know how trustworthy they are. Apparently, they are trustworthy. Apparently, they are a legitimate leaker, but I haven't seen anything new from them that's been leaked or coming out, like necessarily saying anything. So we're going to leave it at that and see what you guys think about it in the comment section down below. Either way, that's going to be it for today, guys. Let me know what you guys think about all this. What do you think about the starter theories? What do you think about these? What do you think about the actual concept of, Professor Pinshot, if that was to be a new character? What do you guys think? Let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bye-bye.